Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event. Are you ready? Let's get ready to ramp up your sales. And now the man you've been waiting for. He is the real Thrilla in Manila. The undisputed, undefeated, reigning, defending, pound for pound, heavyweight John. The sales machine, Rankins.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got a special treat for you here today. His name is Mr. Zach Benson. He is the founder of Assistagram. I call him Mr. Instagram. Not only is he a full-time entrepreneur, but he's got a best-selling book, the New York Times bestseller called Reach, and he actually built the company as the founder of Assistagram and has got over 221 million followers. This guy understands marketing at the deepest level, especially when you consider social media marketing. Entrepreneur Magazine has said he is the secret weapon of influencers. He himself is an influencer. He works with celebrities all around the world. He's worked with Ariana Grande, Snoop Dogg, and the list goes on and on and on. And he's worked with them to not only build their brand, but he's also worked with companies to build their brand and become more social and build a bigger social footprint so that they can actually scale their business. And if he can do it for celebrities, he also does it for people all around the world. You got to get his book. It's called Reach, New York Times bestseller. Let's welcome him to the show. Zach, welcome.
Hey, John, thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Hey, well, we're excited to have you. I'm not only a fan of what you do, but I've actually worked with you before, and you blew up my Instagram to well over 100,000 people and helped me grow that organically and through your methodologies. So today what I want to do is find out from you. This entire podcast is about giving people a smart framework: sales, marketing, accountability, retention, and training. And obviously you're that marketing piece, because without leads, companies can have the best product in the world, but without leads and without endorsement today from influencers, they're going to fall behind. And for me, there's two types of companies: the quick and the dead. So what would you say is the number one thing, based on your methodologies of growing companies and celebrities and influencers, that people could do right now?
Yeah, I think like nowadays with like everybody's just always constantly on their phones, right? Like we go to bed with their phones, we wake up to our phones, and the first thing that we start doing is like scrolling, consuming content, right? So I always tell people, if you're not actually on like Instagram and social media taking it seriously, you gotta get on it, not just being like a consumer, but being a creator and start actually putting content out there. And I think a lot of people are afraid to like look bad, and they're afraid of like what people will say or get made fun of, or what will people think if I say this or that. And it's getting over that fear of just making mistakes and putting out content, because you never know who's going to listen and needs to hear it. And I think, like you said, John, the most important thing is, right, for any business is getting leads, but it's getting that content seen. If you spend hours and hours and lots of money trying to create the perfect piece of content, still the problem is who's actually going to see it. And that's what I want to talk about today, is like all the latest, newest strategies to get your content seen, known, and heard everywhere, online, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, whatever platform. They're kind of similar but different, but I want to break down some strategies that are working now and help you guys go more viral on these platforms.
Fantastic. And yeah, it's so funny that you mentioned that. You just got to go out there and you got to put yourself out there. I've actually built and trained tens of thousands of people in sales. And then I started working with other CEOs. And even my own mindset was that, I built direct sales businesses, whether it's skincare, car care, and now software. And in the back of my mind was that, potentially people aren't going to understand my methodologies or my psychology because I'm not an academic. and I never went to college, and potentially I wouldn't be able to add value to the corporate world. But what I found out was I was completely wrong. The more I've continued to train and train around the world, and the more I talk to CEOs all around the world, the more they're interested in like that O2O framework, like online to offline and offline to online. And they're like, wow, John, I never ever saw it this way, how we can scale our business and your expertise. So knowing that, that's why I put it out there to start the Sales Machine podcast and bring experts like you on, so that regardless of people's background or their education, they can still grow their company. They can still scale sustainably. So why don't we talk about those methodologies, Zach?
Yeah, yeah. I want to talk about all those methodologies. And John, it was cool because you talked a little bit about your background. So I thought it'd be good to also share just a little bit about like my story and where I came from, just because I think like you said, like people are probably listening, they're like, oh, how the heck did Zach like get to work with all these famous celebrities, right? Travel the world, do all these cool things. Right, like I didn't like I went to I grew up in Busan, South Korea, and I was adopted, and I grew up in this place called Iowa, right, middle of nowhere. From Iowa, kid with a speech impediment, couldn't say the letter R, to now, being on this podcast with you, John, and traveling and teaching and training, working with some really famous celebrities. Life has like really changed for me. But growing up, I didn't have all this, right? Like I had a lot of trouble in school and didn't get good grades, and had a Spanish and health promotion degree. And I thought I was going to be a personal trainer and a dancer my whole life. And I pursued dancing, and I was on this TV show called So You Think You Can Dance. And here I was, traveling, doing something I loved. And then I broke my back in 2016, which ended my dance career. And with no plan B, I was depressed. I was sad. I hit rock bottom, man, because dance and fitness was my life. And so with no plan B, the same kid who got me into dancing was like, hey, Zach, you got to get in on this Instagram stuff. Like social media is really taking off. And so I sent him a check of $10,000, bought 400,000 follower Instagram account in the comedy and meme space. And we started growing legends like comedians like Dave Chappelle, Chris Rock, and we started rinsing and repeating the process, right? We started promoting them on our page and doing collaborations and giveaways, and grew them thousands of followers every single day. And then we started acquiring more accounts, and soon we, had this network, this empire, and now we're over 220 million followers, on social media, working with some of the biggest brands in the world. And with all that being said, what worked back then, right? It's not really working like it does like back in the good old days, right? Like you couldn't simply just post and grow. And you can't really use automation these days, like follow, unfollow, or robots, because your account's going to get compromised and deleted for violating Instagram's terms. So what works in 2023, 2024, yeah, I kind of want to talk about that. Should we talk about Instagram first, or LinkedIn, or what do you think?
I think we start off with, because I talked to my lady Vanessa, and we always call you Mr. Instagram, and because of the Assistagram company you founded, I would love to segue though, based on your knowledge and what you did with Instagram, into LinkedIn.
Cool. Because I think for starters, like if you have a personal brand, and the reason, like, and if you don't have a personal brand, I recommend that everyone grows their personal brand, because you are basically the business, right? And your name is one of your most important assets. So it's not always about like who you know, but who actually knows you on Instagram and social media, because this is like the thing that everybody cares about now. They pull you up. How many Instagram followers do you have, right? If you don't have any followers, if you don't have any content out there, you're pretty much nobody these days, like in the social media world. And so I think when you're trying to think about like what to post and what to like talk about. I like to give people these prompts. Like, think about a time where you lost your biggest deal, John, or you overcame a sickness, or like an addiction, pains and gains, maybe bad bosses, bad employees, getting fired from your first job. We all have these battles and these struggles that we've gone through, like as an entrepreneur in this journey. And it hasn't been easy. So I think by being open and vulnerable about them, talking about, this and a mistake that you made and what you learned, the pains and gains, like that's going to help you build more trust and credibility in this online world. Because nowadays you can show anybody anything you want to show or nothing at all, right? You can rent a Lamborghini, a mansion, for the day, and if that's the type of stuff that you want to show and put out there, I mean, you can. Like, we live in this kind of world, but I think that the more real, authentic, and genuine that you can be with your social media content, the better. And that's going to help you in the long run make more sales and bring in more customers.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially the authenticity piece. I find more and more, the more people are real and share their real story, that more people can relate to them. And if you're too over the top, I've even had a mentor, because I'm an excited guy. I'm enthusiastic. And, I've had the opportunity to work with different people all around the world and in different countries all around the world. I've literally lived in and grew companies in 7 of those countries. But for the person just starting out, or a company just starting out, what would be the amount of followers that you would consider to be significant, or the actual engagement that's going to be significant, that's really going to move the needle for them? And roughly how much time do they need to put in to create that following?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think for anyone, like any individual, any brand, you should at least have at least 10,000 followers. 10,000 minimum looks pretty good. I would say if you have, around 50,000 to 100,000 followers plus, like, you'll start to be seen and viewed as like an online influencer celebrity, which is pretty cool. Like in Korea, for example, where I'm at, if you have over 100,000 followers, like, people are like, whoa, you're a celebrity. And so it kind of depends country by country, but I think at least 10 to 100,000 followers is a good number, And there's some people like my client, like Russell Brunson. He's just like, hey, I want to be bigger than Gary Vee. So he's just meaning, like, he just wants millions and millions of followers, millions and millions of viewers, right? And that's kind of his plan of attack and strategy for social media. He's not necessarily thinking, Russell, founder of ClickFunnels, is not always thinking like, okay, how many new users will this bring me for ClickFunnels? He's thinking, okay, how many people can just consume my content and get into my funnel, right? Read my books, buy my books, go to my events, join my inner circle, masterminds. He has, dozens of different offers. So the most important thing that you can do for your business is just to put content out there, because with great content comes growth, and it helps you stay top of mind, right? So when people see their content, okay, they're like, oh, we better call, John, or we got to use his software because he's everywhere, right? And he's always interviewing the best and the brightest minds on the podcast. So, it's you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I 100% understand. And, recently I was contacted to actually do sales training for a big company here. And right now I'm in the Philippines. And it was really from a reference of a colleague I met through social media. And it instantly turns into an engagement or a conversation about how can you implement your psychology and methodology into our company. And believe it or not, their company is a food business, but they do massive distribution. So I asked them, how do they find out about me? And they said, well, you were a referral from Chris, one of my colleagues that I knew. And he said, because you've spoken, to JCs, you've spoken to EO organization. He's like, you're the guy, right? And we checked you out. And what's funny in the social media world right now that I've found is, when I grew up, there used to be a saying, you never get a second chance to make a first impression, right? Have you ever heard that
I like,
before?
yeah, I like that one.
Yeah. So, and it came from a Head and Shoulders shampoo commercial, believe it or not. And it's amazing, but that was then. And like you said earlier, this is now. So now you don't even get a first chance to make a first impression, because even when people find out about you, the first thing they do is they're going to Google you, they're going to check out Instagram, they're going to check out your LinkedIn, and they're going to get their impression from there, from the media world, before they even talk to you, before they even talk to a colleague that knows you. They're going to find out. And this is true, not just for running a company and being a brand, but even to recruit the next generation of leaders to grow your company and your business. It's exactly what they're doing as well. They're checking out your website. So speaking to that brand, and what you're doing with Instagram, have you translated the same psychology and methodology to LinkedIn? And where are you making the biggest difference now?
I love how you put that, right? Because basically Instagram, LinkedIn, social media is like your new business card, right? So nowadays, when people do like have a call set up with someone, they're doing their due diligence, their background checks, and saying, okay, what is this guy? What is she? Okay, what are they actually talking about? What do they value? What are their principles? What are they talking about on LinkedIn, on Instagram? And so all of that matters in this online world, right? Like the number of followers you have, if you have a blue check or not, like all of these things equal, your online credibility and reputation. So I think that the more stuff that you can put out, the better. And now like with LinkedIn, we still use some of those prompts, like, and I can like give all of your followers and listeners here on this podcast show, like if you want like if they want the free like guide of how to like get started in growth hack LinkedIn and Instagram, I'm happy to send that out to everyone listening for free, which kind of breaks down the strategies on like what to post, what not to post, what to do, what not to do on social media these days, which I think will be extremely helpful. But LinkedIn kind of works like all platforms, right? So you want to create a hook and pique interest in the first few seconds, right? Because that's all you got nowadays on social media. So with LinkedIn, it's creating that that two-liner hook, right? So you could talk about like, hey, maybe you could start off with like something like Microsoft fired me and this is what happened, right? And people are like, oh, that's crazy. Okay, legendary company, big brand name. How the heck did you get fired? And then boom, they click read more. That counts as like an engagement. So we're trying to, I wouldn't say do clickbait, but it is like using certain thumbnails and cover photos and on your posts and videos to get people to be like, whoa, or like, what is this about? Or that looks crazy. And they got to keep reading, which counts as views and content views. So you always have to think about like how you can pique interest and get people to keep consuming, clicking, getting them to like, comment, follow in less than like 30 seconds, which can be pretty hard to do. And yeah, I want to break down all that stuff for you guys. I think in the free guide, we can include that in the link.
Awesome. I'll definitely do that. And I'll definitely do that. I'll post it on the Sales Machine website under resources to empower people to understand what to do that's real and relevant right now. Like I said earlier, it's about, there's like two types of companies, the quick and the dead. And I'm sure there's different kinds of posts, but if you cannot get them to interact, then you're basically wasting your time. And I had Ken Ozaki, and he's a colleague of yours, as I believe. Do you know Ken?
That name sounds really familiar.
Ken Okazaki, he works with the number one guy that gives everything away for free right now. You guys, you know who he is, right?
Yeah.
Second book, $100 million offers, and then $100 million leads. So Ken works with him, and he works with different people all over the world. And like you, he's from Asia, and I've been in Asia for 30 years. So I appreciate him. He's out of Japan, and he was talking about how you've got to understand today, it's not just about quality, it's also about quantity, because you got to be top of mind, right? And if you're not top of mind, then you're going to be forgotten. It's not what you did yesterday or last year. It's about what are you doing today? So What is your suggestion about the quantity piece and quality?
Yeah, so for Instagram and LinkedIn, I mean, minimum we try to do like at least 5 posts per week.
5 a week, okay.
Yeah, like timeline, like feed posts. And then for Instagram, we're finding that 2 to 3 Instagram stories a day is pretty good. So that's like the magic number. And then if you can do a Instagram live once or twice a week. So that's what's working for Instagram. And then LinkedIn, yeah, I mean 5 to 7 posts per week. Now, the thing about quantity, yeah, I mean you want to like the more you post, the more chances for growth. But what's really helping like move the needle are engagement groups. So they're kind of like comment pods where you get other people in your same industry niche as you to like and comment on your posts several times throughout the day. And that's what creates the viral effect to help you get more reach, content views, and growth. So on Instagram, it goes down in the Instagram DMs. So it's you, 14 other people, all liking and commenting on each other's posts several times throughout the day. So when you post, you copy that URL link to that post into the group and say posted. And then what everyone else is supposed to do is like and comment on it. And once you get enough likes and comments, it helps boost you to the top, hits that explore page that everybody's seeing when they open up Instagram. And that's what's going to get you the growth. It's the same thing that's working on LinkedIn. So everybody's in these engagement groups, and the goal is to actually get like engagement, like likes and comments from accounts that are way bigger than you. So if you have an account that has 100,000 followers or 1 million followers, and they like and comment on your posts, that's going to hold more weight versus an account that has 500 followers. Do you see what I'm saying? Is the engagement groups are the key. Like that's the secret sauce.
Yeah, and it's one thing to become an influencer, and then obviously once you're an influencer, you have that ability to market not only your own products and services, but other people's products and services. But what would you say is a good mix? Because if you're always making an offer every single post, right? And if there's always a call to action, people get inundated with your offer, it can really put a bad taste in people's mouth. Vanessa and I was talking about this the other day, and there's a saying, right, about a sales vomit, right? What was the actual? Oh, it's called commission breath, right? When people are like overselling all the time instead of offering that value. You know what I mean? So for you, what do you think is a good mix or your approach to actually making an offer or making sales using social media? Because I think that's key to understanding the value proposition and what you have to offer without having commission breath and overselling.
Yeah, like I don't think anyone likes to be like, like pushed to do something, right? So, especially on social media nowadays, like I would say do I recommend doing like one call to action post like every couple weeks, right? Or every 7 to maybe every 10 to 14 days, maybe once or twice a month, right? Because I think there are more like creative ways to do it nowadays where you can actually incentivize people to, yeah, join, get the offer, get the lead magnet, or get whatever that you're trying to give away that has a lot of value. And so, like, the thing that we like doing is usually like a travel, like hotel giveaway. So we partner up with like maybe like a famous celebrity and a big travel page, and we're like, hey, to 3 of our followers for just being good, like loyal fans, followers for all these years. We're doing a cool like 2 night hotel giveaway in a tropical destination like Thailand or Bali or the Maldives. And to, enter into this contest, these are the rules, right? You have to follow these accounts. You have to like and comment on this post, tag 3 friends, and you'll be entered. And this contest lasts for 2 weeks. So the more people you tag, and then we have bonus things like the more people you tag, the more people you share this with will count for additional entries. So that's one kind of cool, like creative way that we're using to help like grow accounts, and then also to just give back to our community. I think that whenever you're doing like a call to action or you're trying to sell something, it's like it's good to do like a give back thing like this. Maybe every 3 months or so where you give money or you give a cool trip away or you give, I don't know, something away of extreme and fun value to your followers instead of just doing the plain old like, hey, try to sell something, because no one likes to feel sold like they're being like sold like that.
And no one wants to be closed, right? There's a lot of people out there like, I just got to close this deal. But at the end of the day, it's all about your value proposition. And I can share with you also, like we're building up my LinkedIn, and my followers all the time. And it's been predominantly just organic. And now we're using different tools, but my strategy is always give and you shall receive. And I want to talk about that freemium stuff. And you talked about the giveaways and stuff like that. What I share and what I just implemented with my team, which is getting like 50% engagement, was giving a free offer as soon as I have a new, and it's not an offer. It's just a free value proposition for people. As an example, I created the ultimate success formula and the ultimate success formula playbook so people can just follow along. And now whenever I get a new connection on LinkedIn, I ask them, I say, hey, I always want to come from a place of giving. And regardless of I'm in the software business or not, it's great to know you. And I created the ultimate success formula for CEOs. And here's a copy of the framework. Let me know if you think that's interesting. And then afterwards, I can follow that up with sending them a whiteboard video of how they can implement it in their own organization. And we're getting like 50% more engagement because and some of the people are like, nah, I'm not interested. And I'm like, all good. It's all good. But at least I come from a place of giving. And I do that also with a framework I call the 7 superpowers to scaling sales teams. And, there's superheroes in it, and there's a whiteboard or an implementation blueprint for companies that they can just use for free, so that I come from a place of giving rather than expecting or asking. And I don't have to make the ask.
Yeah, I think like some of the best things in life are free things, right? That things that are free and that you can just give away. So I like that approach. I think like yeah, what you're doing is that's how you should be like interacting and communicating with people on LinkedIn because I'm sure like John, you probably get like tons of like connection requests and messages and people trying to sell you something like on LinkedIn and it's just annoying nowadays, like how people do their social media lead generation, right? And it's kind of like a turnoff. So I like that approach where you're just giving, giving, giving.
And are you using the same approach for LinkedIn as you are for Instagram?
Yeah, well, so for Instagram, if we do like Instagram Live, we basically have like an Instagram chat bot set up. So like if somebody comments like 5x or some like whatever word we say on our Instagram Live, like in the comments, they get then into our Instagram DM sequence with our chatbot. So the chatbot handles pretty much everything. And Instagram chatbots are cool because they're getting like 90% open rates. Because when you think about it, when you get a DM on social media, like people are checking that much more and way faster than an email.
100%.
Yeah, so that's what we're doing on Instagram. Yeah, LinkedIn. So doing some automated things where it's like a freebie giveaway thing in our first message, complimenting the person, doing our like making it creative so it doesn't feel like a robot. So we have like people kind of interacting with them and yeah, going back and forth so that the conversation is genuine and it's not just like trying to push something down their throats. Like really, how can we help you? How can we collaborate and do value exchanges?
Yeah. And from what I know, and Zach, I know your story. I know you were a dancer and you came from Busan. And I also lived in South Korea before. We had a sales office down in Busan as well. And from what I know is you were always, once you got involved with Instagram and then you guys built Assistagram, you were always ahead of the curve. And you talked about chatbox now doing a lot of the work in automation. And I always say to companies now, like they ask me why I use the sales machine software. And I always say, if you want your success to be automatic, you got to be scientific, right? Instead of you following up with everybody, the system needs to follow up with you. And that's what the sales machine does. So uh, it eliminates a lot of the dropping of the balls, you know, and being ahead of the curve as you have been for many years. That's why you've got 221 million followers, and especially now what's going on with AI. I want you to talk to that about how is AI going to affect the social space based on what you're thinking right now, and how can people actually use it to future proof their business?
I'm grateful for AI and all the new software and technologies that are coming out. Your software sounds amazing, John. I'm excited for that, right? Because I think like the fortune's in the follow-up, and there's so many balls now that are dropped nowadays. So I think that sounds super smooth. Yeah, I have this client named Devon Rodriguez Art. He's that guy that draws people on the subways. He's got about 30 million followers on TikTok, 8 million on Instagram, and 10 million on YouTube. So about, yeah, like 50, 60 million followers. This guy is cool. And he kind of did this comparison. He's like, this is what AI generated. So, AI can make art, it can do anything. And so Devon, my friend, my client, he specializes in oil painting and portraits. And he kind of did a comparison like, this is AI, this is mine, right? And I mean, I'll send you the picture. It's pretty cool. But I mean, AI pumps out some great stuff, but you can tell the difference, like skill, talent wise. Devon, his stuff is on another level. It just looks more realistic, more beautiful, like more real, right? So I think that AI is good because it does, and software is good because it makes life a little bit easier. But again, like in the social media space and my world and with my business, it's Instagram. So people it saves people time, which is a good thing, right? It kind of helps that make their life easier, chops things up, edits their content, puts it into a reel or a post. That's cool. But still, the problem again is like, okay, how can we actually get this content seen? How can we actually reach the right people and target the right people with this content? Because whether you hire a graphic designer or you use AI to create content, still it's about getting it everywhere, right? And into the right people's hands. So we use AI for some things, but still like a Instagram, like that's like our secret sauce is because have more human power, right? So we're giving people like their own like dedicated team to work and grind on their account, doing hundreds of thousands of manual actions every single day to grow their accounts. So I do think that AI is good, but human touch is a little bit better with social media.
Yeah, and people want to connect with the human. I've had a lot of AI experts on the show. I had James Skinner. He's he has his own programs. He's traveling the world right now with Robert Kiyosaki, talking about AI human, and he did the number one TED Talk in August. It ran for just the last 2 weeks. It got over 500 and some thousand views. And he's the first one to do it without being there with AI.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and he talks a lot about how, it's going to replace a lot of jobs, but at the same time, we all know in sales that sales first and foremost are about forming a connection with people and knowing, liking, and trusting. And the ultimate sale is when you have relationships and people understand your value. And last time I checked, AI is not going to allow you to have a relationship. It's got to be real. And so I can totally resonate with that. And I want to now pivot because you did mention TikTok. And I want to find out, what are you doing with TikTok, you and your team, because you're always on the cutting edge and doing different things. And then we'll talk about your book, Reach.
That sounds good. Yeah. So like with TikTok, like what's working now is, I mean, like what you have to do, like we use this thing called SafeTick, which is this app that's free to download. So SafeTick helps you find the most viral, like trending, like TikToks, and reels that are just like growing like crazy. Now, with a few click of a buttons, it does all the work for you and kind of filters out through all of the different videos on TikTok, and you can use that as reposted content on your TikTok. So like if you're like for example into like fitness or travel, it's finding the top like videos in fitness and travel, and then you can say, hey, like you give that person credit, you use a trending song, and you can make it go more viral, and that's what's going to get you growth. So that's one of our strategies that we use for like Instagram and TikTok is the repost strategy. So we're using that Save Tick app to find content that's going viral, and then we use engagement groups to make it go more viral. We give credit to the people, and then that's what is growing our page, some of our pages like crazy.
That's a golden nugget.
Yeah, because you don't always have to create your own.
I mean, think about it, folks. He just gave you a golden nugget. Like, not only is he going to give you the free guide to guide you on how to post, but giving you the right technology is golden, because with automation you can turn decades into days, right? And even from the beginning of this podcast, Zach, when you talked about people are afraid to post, right? They're actually in fear because they're in fear of being made fun of, or they're not going to look great on the video, or they're going to stutter. But in actuality, if they're just being real, it's going to resonate. And as long as they're talking about something relevant, then people are going to tune in and they're going to want to hear, what do you got to say? Because people are going through their own shit. People are having their own challenges, and anybody out there in business. That's why we created this Sales Machine podcast. It's challenging to run and sustain and scale a business. So you just got to do the work, and you got to put yourself out there. That's part of the reason why I created the Sales Machine, because what I've found with sales teams all around the world, and it's with marketers, it's with customer service agents, it's with marketing executives, no matter what they're doing, it takes them years to have the confidence to do what they're doing without asking. So my attitude is always providing a framework where people know what to do, when to do it, and how to do it, and reward them for it. It sounds like the Sales Machine is in alignment with your psychology about getting followers and engaging with people. Not only are you going to, empower them what to do, when to do it, and how to do it, but you reward a lot of them for doing it. So, I think that's brilliant. And coming from a place and space of giving, for me, is always more important, and creating value than just getting, people sending me money. Because at the end of the day, I think there's always got to be a value exchange, right? From what we offer to how, we're taken care of, and how we're receiving based on the value we give. And so I want to talk about, what do you think is a realistic return on investment for investing in social media, whether it be Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever it may be? What do you think is realistic for individuals or companies to expect?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question, because nowadays, like, I think a lot of people, like especially brands, right? Whether you're trying to sell some, earphones or a hoodie or gear, or like whatever, right? Healthy green shake. People nowadays know that you should work with influencers, for example, but they think that by just hiring somebody like, Kim Kardashian or a famous celebrity with 1 million followers, that they put all of their eggs in one basket, and then they're like, okay, they expected to sell and go crazy and make tons and tons of money. There's kind of like steps to this process. So I always say, like, first you need to at least have 10,000 followers to 100,000 followers for yourself, for your brand. That looks good. You have to have, content that's going out consistently, whether it's stories, main feed posts. People should be able to find your products. People should be able to find you on social media. There's about, like, I would say 4 or 5 steps of, things that people need to do to actually set themselves up for success before they're gonna start seeing like consistent, like really great returns. But yeah, first step, creating a page, putting out consistent content, working with micro, macro, celebrity influencers, like an army of them, around 200, 300 people. That's going to help you create user-generated content, influencer content, doing whitelisting with some of those celebrities. So basically running ads to their audience and taprootting into their network. Figuring out how like which creatives are like winning creatives and doubling down and putting more ad money on that is going to help you get more consistent returns. But you kind of have to think of it as more like a brand play, like, okay, just kind of like maybe like Russell Brunson, where it's just like you want to be everywhere and that's going to bring you business, but that's one of his goals. Other people are like, it's more of like, I would say Facebook, Instagram ads strategy plan where you can really dial down on some ads and figure out like, so that you can get consistent returns. But I always tell people like when you're first like getting into this, like know that it's not going to be easy. Like it's not easy to just sell things online or everybody would be doing it and being like millionaires, right? Like I think nowadays with even Amazon and e-commerce, right? It's a lot harder nowadays, barrier to entry than it was before, 5, 10 years ago even. But you have to really know what you're doing to, I think, monetize well nowadays.
Yeah, and I want to speak to that because ultimately I've actually shut down some divisions even in my own company, because whenever there's low barrier to entry, you basically are putting yourself out there and fighting over crumbs. You're fighting over what's left over because the competition is so high. And so this is not a get rich quick thing if you want to become an influencer, or even if you're using the methodologies for an enterprise level business to grow your social and your impact. What I like is having impact and making a difference with people. And so it's going to take work. And a lot of people don't like that word. That word work scares them, right? But at the end of the day, it takes time to climb the mountain, right? It's not a get rich quick thing becoming an influencer, unless you've got 10 other influencers, which you use micro and macro influencers to help other brands. But people have got to be willing to do the work and put their skin in the game.
Yeah, it's a grind, right? Like nowadays, even with the micro influencers, people that have like 10 to 20,000 followers, like they want to get paid, right? They won't all the time just promote a product for free in exchange for, free product, right? So you have to think of a creative way to connect with them and to show value and love to them, right? So one cool way, I'll give this cool strategy away. So think about it like, let's say you have an e-commerce product or course or something that you want to sell and get in the hands of influencers that have millions of followers, but you don't have the money, right? Because someone who has a million followers, they can be quite expensive, maybe $20,000, $50,000 per post. My friend Devon, who has 50 million followers, yeah, he charges. I mean, it's crazy. Like working with some of the biggest brands in the world. I mean, $1 million deals, $2 million deals. Like, so if you don't have a lot of money and you want to work with influencers, here's what you got to do. So reach out to all the big travel pages on Instagram and ask them, how much do you charge for a post? Okay, Vanessa's gonna like this strategy too, because I know she wants to stay at the Amen Hotel in the Philippines, which is a really cool resort. So you can get that too with this strategy. So you make a list, like a spreadsheet of all these big travel accounts and big travel influencers with 500,000 followers, 1 million followers. Reach out to them, say, hey, how much do you charge per post? You'd be surprised. Some of these Instagram influencers with 300,000 followers or 1 million followers are only charging, $50, $100, $300 per post, because they just want to make money, right? And they want to make money creating content. And so this is what I did and helped me get over 850 nights for free at some of the world's most craziest hotels. Some hotels that were $50,000 a night. I used this exact strategy that I'm going to share with you guys. So I reached out to these pages and I got a couple of quotes, and then I approached hotels that I wanted to stay at. And so I reached out to this hotel in the Maldives and I'm like, hey, I'm Zach Benson. I'm an Instagram, influencer myself, founder of a Sistergram. These are my travel accounts, so in my network. And so even though I didn't own those pages at that time, I knew their price. So I was going to pay them whatever they wanted to get paid. And I said, we're 2 million followers strong. So this is like 5 years ago. We're 2 million followers strong. These are account names in exchange for 5 nights in your best available suite. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner would be nice. Spa experiences would be amazing. Full board, premium, inclusive, all you can drink would be awesome, right? We can do the following. So my value stack was like we do positive Instagram posts on these pages, like 2 posts a day, Instagram stories, give you all rights to content, review on TripAdvisor. That's how I got like over 800 nights for free, like in the past 5 years.
Come on.
But yeah, not only can you use this to travel for free, but then you can also collaborate with brands. So this is the cool part of the strategy. So if you have like because think about it, if you have a brand, right, you want to get that product into the hands of famous influencers. So you can reach out to these influencers and say, hey, like me and my travel buddies, like we worked out a 10-night 5-star vacation in the Maldives. Would you like to come? Right? All you have to do is promote my product or my course. Take some cool pictures, create some content. In exchange, we'll get you an all expense paid Maldives trip. And then you reach out to the hotel again and say, hey, we have this person, that person, this celebrity. Would you be willing to pay for their flights? Because these guys have over 1 million followers. So you're going to get all this awesome content. They're going to tag you, post about you. All you have to do is cover their flights and their accommodation. And so that's how I'm able to, you see what I'm doing? So I'm kind of like paying like the bare minimum price for these posts on these travel repost hub pages. So they're not like all the times like actual influencers, but they're just posting about like the best hotels like all around the world, but they have hundreds of thousands of followers. And then I'm asking their price, which is normally $50 to a couple $100. And then I'm using their followers and their network to get free nights and collaborations with influencers, which would, if it's in the Maldives, could cost anywhere for $50,000 for like 10 nights, or more. And I'm only I'm only paying a couple hundred.
We built our first baby in the Maldives.
Wow.
His name is Sky. And yeah, those hotels are a couple $1,000s a night. And but a magical place. And yeah, so I love how you're leveraging. So and not only are you leveraging one tactic and using it as a strategy, but it also becomes a force multiplier when you have several celebrities actually get involved, and then that helps everyone. And essentially,
It's a win-win for everyone.
yeah, it's a total win for absolutely everyone. So that's fantastic, dude. That is amazing value, Zach, for the listeners here. And even corporations and enterprise level companies can use similar strategies to invite people to a summit or their dream 100 customers, right? Which is an old tactic by Chet Holmes, which is a big influencer to me. Just amazing how, as long as you think outside the box and you find value, you can leverage that value to get even more value and scale your brand or your business and service. So now tell us a bit about the book Reach and how did it come about and become a New York Times bestseller?
Yeah, so my book Reach has been years in the making, and had a lot of help from my team, right? My ghostwriters, I mean everybody, just friends, family, mentors. And so the book, yeah, Reach is about like that, right? How to connect with anyone, your Dream 100, how to build like a lifestyle business, because I think a lot of people, they see me traveling, they're like, Zach's everywhere. How do you like actually like make a business where you can work from your laptop and work from anywhere? And so really that's what it's about. And I think life is all about people. To me, it's like seeing how people like live and arrange their lives. That's culture to me. And all of the proceeds that we've made have gone to World Relief, a resettlement agency for refugees. So I didn't donate all that, and I actually volunteered. I actually lived on $2 a day for food for a year and volunteered at World Relief right after college. So as soon as I graduated, I did that 30 hours a week and helped refugees from all over the world, 50 different countries, North Koreans, people from Africa, Cubans, everywhere. And I helped them, yeah, learn how to like live in America, because a lot of these people were kicked out of their countries for religious beliefs or war, or the stories were crazy. And so yeah, I wanted to do that and support the World Relief family with my book Reach. And so yeah, it's been awesome, man. I'm really happy. Yeah, also really surprised with all the success that it's had. And yeah, it's cool. It's kind of like that roadmap for people that kind of want to be like a destination influencer and create like a lifestyle business. And by lifestyle, I mean like building up businesses and projects that are bringing in money to pay for not only just your day-to-day expenses, but your ideal lifestyle, the type of life that you want to live, and still being able to work from anywhere. So we talk a lot about like, yeah, social media strategies, travel hacks, lifestyle investing, a bunch of things.
Awesome. So people go out there and get the book Reach. If you want to get your dream 100, like Zach is saying, and scale your business, become an influencer, it automatically creates more value for you, and that value can be handed off to others. So if people want to work with you, Zach, obviously they can find Zach Benson on the internet and go through a bunch of links. But if they want to work with you, and I've worked with you before, I got massive value out of it. So where should they go to apply or find you to work with you?
Yeah, you guys can add me on Instagram at Zach Vacay. That's my personal Instagram account. Assistagram.com. Assistagram's my company. So yeah, I would be happy to help support you guys in any way. Feel free to reach out to me. I'm also on Facebook. So if you have any questions or you need any help or anything at all, just message me. That's probably the easiest and most direct way, is to connect with me on my personal accounts, Zach Benson and Zach Vacay on Instagram.
First class stuff. Not only do you fly first class, not only do you live first class, you are a first class guy, Zach. Love what you're doing for people and all the contribution that you do as well, man. Big round of applause.
Yeah, thank you, man.
That's a wrap, folks. Thanks for joining me today. And if you got value from this episode, do me a favor, like, subscribe, and refer a friend. And if you want even more value, go to thesalesmachine.com, click on resources, and there's tons of resources there to increase profits and drive performance in your business. Right on, come on.